Beautiful people, beautiful people, beautiful people. Welcome back to another episode of Who Can Relate. Yes, I'm still here. I'm still your fearless leader of this beautiful community. My apologies for the last couple of weeks of hiatus. They were for good reason. A lot of productivity being done. A lot of quality time spent with myself and also with my family. I'll get into that in a little bit. And I'm looking forward to this one. So first and foremost, before we get into the traditional protocol here on the show, I just want to start off just a genuine you and I, me and you, one-on-one. And just want to ask how you're doing. But like, seriously, how are you doing? Jessica, Amanda, Amber, Michelle, James, Justin. Just want to ask how you guys are doing. I just want to check in. Sarah, Amy, Amaya, the list goes on and on. But I know it's been a couple weeks, and it's also kind of our halfway point of 2022. So that's what this episode is basically going to be about, is a check-in with yourselves and a check-in with us as a community. Okay. So we'll get into the more personal talking to you in a little bit here. But let's start off with the quote of the day. Excuse me. It's been a while. If you can't tell by the beat up microphone head here, if you're watching, and if you're listening, sorry for clearing the voice. Okay, this is actually an original. I'm working on something really special, and it's going to be out soon, available to purchase, and I'm really hyped about it. So I've been like in my entire bag with JD's gems and quotes and inspiration and so on and so forth. And all of that led me to, and I've said it before, but it led me to really like hone in on it. And I thought it was perfect for this episode. So without further ado, the quote of the day today is, I need to treat myself how I want others to treat me. A little bit of play on words there. And I know the traditional we've heard since we were kids of treat others how you want to be treated, right? I need to treat myself how I want others to treat me is the quote of the day today. So let that marinate for a bit. Let it really sink in and spend some time with that. You know, like, how are you treating yourself? How do you show up for yourself? And again, the theme of today is, how are you doing? Today's intention is to, again, just check in, just to circle back, to see how you beautiful people are doing, see what's going on, what's new in the world, and to hopefully give us, for sure, myself, at least this spark that I think is needed right now. Again, kind of in the halfway point here as we continue on with 2022. It's not gonna be a long episode. You see the timestamp. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know it's the day after the 4th of July. As I sit here in my living room, it is Sunday, July 3rd. So this is pre-festivity, JD. But yeah, so again, I just want to see how everyone's doing. You know, I've been on this personal journey now for a while, and it's been very challenging and very rewarding at the same time. And I feel like I don't really check in with each and every one of you. So this episode is dedicated to you, the community. And if you are new here, welcome. Sorry, I should have started with this way back. Like, this is not normal. I don't normally do this. Usually it's me and a guest. You know, and as I've said before, but again, if you're new here, this show is all about people discovering your higher self through adversity. We all go through it. No one wants to talk about it until you hear someone else talking about it first. Who can relate? It's about vulnerability. My goal is to normalize vulnerability for men especially, but people in general. And self-love, which is, again, mainly today. I want to practice it. I want to showcase it. I want to really have that as the main intention for today. So, what is JD up to? What's been going on with JD? Where has JD been? Right? All of these thoughts, I'm sure, has been going through a lot of your heads. In short, I'm amazing. I'm really, really, really good. And if you've been following me for a while now, and again, part of this amazing community, that was not so much the case a couple months back. I was in a little bit of a crossroad. But I can see clearly now that the rain is gone, and it feels so good. I've really spent a lot of time journaling, a lot of time reading, a lot of time with positive internal thoughts, and just really trying to figure out, what direction I want to be going in here. And, another favorite quote of mine is direction is more important than speed. And I just had to tap back into that direction. So as I sit here again, July 3rd, July 5th for you, this halfway point is it's an interesting one, right? Because we're so far removed from our New Year's resolutions and our goals for 2022. 6 months seems like 6-7 months seems like a long time ago, but in reality, like I remember sitting down writing my goals for this year. I'm sure many of you can relate to that. But how are we doing with these set goals? Where are we in reaching them and obtaining them and achieving them? And if we haven't, why haven't we? I could sit here and give you the old cliche of, remember why you started, in reference of Kobe, job's not finished. I can give you all these things, but what I really want to hone in on today is think about why you wrote down those goals and why you wanted to make the necessary changes in your life for the better. And I think the why behind that what, correct me if I'm wrong, could be because I don't want to be this way anymore, or I don't want this in my life anymore. I don't want to live this life anymore the way I was. That's what I really want to focus on here, because I really preach this with my consultation clients, especially when I give homework assignments. It's important to write down your what, right? Like, what are we working on? What do you want to change? What do you feel, et cetera? But as many of you know who are watching, again, a part of the crew of consultations, the most important thing is the why. Why do you feel this way? Why do you want to change this? Why do you resent this? Why do you have, so much angst or bitterness or, resentment towards this? And a lot of it is because I'm just tired of carrying this. I'm tired of carrying this weight, and I want to switch it up. I want a new me, and I want a new way of thinking, because this way is terrible, or it sucks, or it's frustrating, or it's sad, it hurts, etc. So instead of the, remember why you started, maybe just focus on remember what it felt like when you actually wrote that down as a goal and why, and how much was behind that feeling and just that pen to pad. And if you want to still be there, if you want to stay there in that type of world. We all have a choice. It's easier said than done, but we all have a choice. And I know for a fact in the dark days and the hard times and the challenging times, it's very confusing, very emotionally draining, and very daunting. But the only person who can change it is us. Back to that choice. So what choices have you made from January to July? And more importantly, what choices have you not made, right? From January to July towards your goals. Let's really focus on that. Let's celebrate the wins of what you have done and strides to make sure you're changing whatever it is that you want to change. But let's also spread some, shine some spotlight on the areas in which we continue to procrastinate, we continue to push off, we continue to blame other people, because that's what's holding us back. And that's what's really preventing us from getting from A to B when it comes to who we really truly have the potential to be. And so that's what I want to talk about today. And I want you, if you're listening or watching, I want you to be honest with yourself. Because right now it's just you and me. Just you and I. That's it. There's a lot of people watching, a lot of people listening, but they're not in our living rooms as we sit here and listen and dissect this. They're not in our cars. They're not in our ears. They're not in front of us. It's just you and I. So the only people you're lying to right now, if you're not being honest, is with yourself and with me. So a little bit of homework for everyone tuning in right now. Let's make that list. Let's make those two lists, rather. Let's make the first list a celebratory list. What have I done from January to July at this point that I'm proud of, that gets me that much closer to where I see myself being before the year's over, that gets me that much further removed from who I no longer want to be, or who I'm trying to change, or what I'm trying to change about myself, or who I'm trying to remove from my life in the energy form, right? In the energy sense of things. Like, we can only obtain so much capacity. And if there's people in our lives who aren't supposed to be in our lives, or who are bringing us down or holding us back, they're actually taking up the space for who is meant to be in our life. So in order to let the people who we want into our life, and this is whether you're single, you're in a relationship, you're at work, what friendship, you know what I mean? We have to remove what's no longer serving us to allow space for what is right for us and what we truly deserve. So include that into your list. Adding to the celebratory list, I want you to write down when you accomplished the goal that you set out for. What was the feeling that you had once you finally achieved that goal? And how much time did you spend in celebrating that win? Or did you just pick up and move on and like, what's next, like a to-do list? Because I, for one, definitely spent a lot of time in the what I'm not doing right department, what I could be doing more of department, or what I could be doing less of department. And when I achieve these goals and I'm proud of myself, I don't really sit down and celebrate. I don't give the same energy and time that I was about what I'm not doing towards what I did, what I just accomplished. And so for me to you, spend more time with that. And if you haven't celebrated yet, even if you accomplished it in January 17th, cool. Still celebrate that now if you haven't already. And make sure it feels good. Make sure you have that reward at the end of the tunnel. I read a book recently about productivity and, procrastination, so on and so forth. And they talked about how important it is to have that reward at the end of the tunnel, that light at the end of the tunnel, because it keeps you on track. It keeps you motivated, yes, but it also does something to the brain where it's like, oh, I can't wait to celebrate again like that. If you're new here, I'm from Chicago, born and raised, proud Chicagoan, diehard Cubs fan. And we had a manager, Joe Madden, when we won the World Series. And if you don't know baseball and if you don't follow sports and you're like, JD, shut up, just hear me out. It's all part of the plan. And Joe Madden, who won Manager of the Year this year that we won the World Series, all the players, I just was watching them like, man, these guys are different this year. Like, they're happy. They love the sport, but like they enjoy coming to the ballpark and they enjoy putting on that uniform and enjoy playing the game. And I was trying to figure out like what's going on, what's the atmosphere like that's changed. And Joe Madden, the manager, had an interview, and this person who interviewed him asked him that, like, what's changed in the locker room? There's a different pep in the step of the players. And he said, oh, it's Club Dub. And the reporter's like, what the hell is Club Dub? He's like, every time we win, we have a club in the locker room, we have a party, and we celebrate after every win. Now, again, if you don't really mess with baseball like that, let me just give you something here. There's 162 games a year. Okay? So think about that. And we had a crazy season where I think we won close to 100 games. So you had 100 Club Dub moments. You had 100 parties. And I thought about that, and I'm like, man, those players couldn't wait to get into Club Dub after they won. So they're going to try harder. They're going to play harder. They're going to concentrate more and focus more and be a better teammate for this reward. Now, the ultimate reward that season was we won the World Series, first time in 108 years, but it's a whole nother story. I cried like a baby, tears of joy. But yeah, it's like, what's your Club Dub? What's your celebratory dance? What's your celebratory go-to food or drink or whatever it is? What are you doing to celebrate? And if you're not, or you don't have this, rapid fire, oh, JD, my go-to is gelato, pistachio with a little bit of salted caramel, right? Or my go-to is this really good bourbon, whatever it is, right? If you don't have that, it's time to get it. It's time to start really celebrating you. That actually reminds me, too, of something I want to talk about. When I have these little breaks in my show, the one voice that is so constant, aside from what the hell's going on, what are you doing, why are you taking a break, is Do you remember when you used to dream about having your own podcast? Do you remember when you used to hope and try to find ways to pay for some of the equipment that I wanted so badly that was really expensive? And I have all those things now. And yet I'm still taking these breaks. And I'm like, sometimes they're necessary. Sometimes, you need a little bit of a recharge. But if I'm being honest, a lot of times I'm just scared to continue to come back every single week because it's a lot. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of subjected ridicule that could be on the other side of the screen or on the other side of the app. And I get into my head and I'm just like, I'm hard on myself and I'm psyching myself out, a little bit of self-doubt, imposter syndrome, you name it, going on. And I'm like, man, I used to dream and pray and manifest what I created, what I have right in front of me. And I just got to get on I just have to get out of my own way and understand that, of course, it's going to be hard. Anything worth having is never going to come easy, right? And so whether it's me showing up one-on-one with you, me showing up with a guest, or me showing up with Shay, my wife, I got to show up. Breaks when they're needed, sure. But are they really needed or are they wanted? And that's another question you have to ask yourself. So back to that list of what our goals were and what they currently are for 2022. Remember, you got your celebratory list. We're going to knock all that out in the best way possible and put a smile on your face while you're writing this list, and make sure you celebrate the shit out of your moments of reward. And the other list is, what do I continue to put off and why? What am I so afraid of and why? What do I know if I could just figure out a way to do this thing, it's going to change so much, but why am I afraid to do it? Why do I keep putting these procrastination obstacles, blame game, blocking my blessings and getting in my own way? Why? What am I so afraid of? As I just mentioned, a lot of times I'm afraid of the ridicule. I'm afraid of failing. I'm afraid of not really, I guess, being received the way that I really want to be received, or the messages that I'm trying to get out there. Maybe I can't articulate them the way that I have it in my head, et cetera, et cetera. And so sitting down, writing these things out, it's facing your fears in a sense, right? It's writing them out and being like, okay, ridicule. What's the worst case scenario? Like the worst thing, right? Someone just says, man, your show is trash. It's terrible. I can't believe people listen, whatever the case is, right? They just completely bash my show. Okay, well, do I feel that way? Do thousands of other people feel that way? Or is this just this one person who may just be having a bad day and I'm the punching bag? Or they may have just gotten broken up with and I'm the punching bag. Or I may remind them of an ex who they saw the potential in that ex, kind of like me, and I turned out to be, right, what their potential was, but they didn't turn, you know what I mean? So triggers, right? But is that fear real? Is that fear, should I take that personal? No. Another thing that I really know that is a struggle of mine, it has been my whole life, is consistency. I get so excited. I can't even tell you. My family could tell you. I get so excited about new ideas and new passions. I had this run one time where I had like 3 jobs. I wanted to go to interior design school. I wanted to be a broadcaster. And I wanted to be like a sports manager. Mind you, while I'm working 3 jobs, okay? And I'm like, got all these doors open, right? Spreading out my eggs in different baskets. And I realized like I got burnt out. I just like quit everything. I just kept 2 jobs, I think. But quit these other desires and these other passions. It was too much for me at that time. And I find myself doing this more often than not, where I open up a lot of doors and I get really excited, but I don't fully walk through them, do it justice, or at least the plan that I had set out for, and then close the door behind me. Instead, I blast open this door. I take a really good look through. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do that tomorrow. I'm going to do that next week. Okay, cool. And open up another door, same thing, another door, same thing, another door, same thing. And I'm like, but I still got to work out. I still got to model. I still have to be a husband. I still have to be a father. I still have to do, all my other things. And I'm like, I'll do it later. I'll do it later. But in reality, aside from just, trying to find the time, which is difficult for all of us, I understand. The main thing preventing me from walking through these doors is the fear of failure, which is my biggest thing. As much as I preach, there's no such thing as a loss, it's a lesson, right? In order to have success, you have to have failure. I get all that. I know it. I say it all the time. But it's hard sometimes. And so what I've been trying to do lately is set like really small goals, like work out 3 days a week. Just throwing some stuff out here, right? Or work on my golf swing for 3 hours a week. Or be like husband of the year, 7 days a week. No, I'm just kidding. But, as much as I can and checking with my daughter in ways that I haven't in the past because maybe they didn't work. Maybe this will work now. Or read, at least 10 minutes a day, so on and so forth. I have these little goals that I've been setting out. And when I hit them, I celebrate in a way. And a lot of the ways I celebrate is like, man, I'm capable of doing this. And it feels good when I get to check this off my list. And it feels good giving back to people, if that's one of my goals, and receiving, the love back from them. Thanks for checking up on me. Thanks for calling me. I've been thinking about you too. I'm really glad we got to check in. So all this to say, what and why are the reasons you're not where you want to be so far this year? And if you are where you want to be so far this year, July 5th, 2022, bravo. Matter of fact, hold on, I got something for you. Okay. Good for you. I'm proud of you. I'm happy for you. We need more like you. And if that's you and you're like, yeah, thank you, but I have a whole laundry list of things that I've been putting off for years, not just 2022, but years. And it could be emotional. It could be, something internally. It could be something with your relationship. Same applies to you then. What is it that is preventing you from maybe being who you want to be, or being who you want to be in the relationship that you want to have, and why? So I know I gave you a lot of homework to do, and I know it's very daunting, very intimidating. But what are we really doing if we can't check off these lists of to-dos or these homework assignments? What are we really doing if we can't be honest with ourselves when we check in midway through the year? Where's that same energy, right, leading up to 2022 or at the top of 2022, where we're hyped and we're so motivated and determined to change this and redo that, etc.? Where's that same energy? I'm here to hold you accountable. Also holding myself accountable too. There's a whole list of things that I wrote down before this episode. Like, I got to get it together as well. I would never ask you to do something if I'm not even willing to do it. So let's hold ourselves accountable. Let's continue this year strong. Let's end it on a bang. Let's end it with checking off these lists. And again, if it's, some are way too daunting to knock out in 6 months, I totally understand. Just break it down. Break it down into sections, right? If you don't have a relationship with your parents, I'll give you an example. Write down what it would feel like if you had the relationship that you wanted with your parents. Underneath that, write down what are some of the things that I can control to try to create that relationship, and why. What would it mean to you if you actually had a father in your life? What would it mean to you if you actually had a mother in your life? And if they've passed away, my condolences, but there are other people in your life that I'm sure are mother and or father figures, right? And even if they are in your life, that you can make that much better of a relationship. We're all busy, right? We all have the same amount of, time in the day. As the saying goes, Beyonce has the same 24 hours as we do. But how are you allocating your time during your 24 hours? Are you busy being busy? Or are you busy being productive? Is it productivity or activity? Anyways, so that's what I really wanted to come on here and chat with you guys about with this check-in. And again, the other thing is just to ask how you're doing. The title of this is, How Are You? Seriously, how are you? I, for one, spent a lot of time checking in with other people in my life, ones that I love and care about, in the community as well. When I ask how you're doing, whether it's in the comments, the DMs, etc. And I found that I don't really check in with myself. Like, how are we doing? Right? I need to treat myself how I want others to treat me. And so it helps when you spend time with that. It helps when you really utilize the gas tank the right way, meaning your own gas tank. If you drain it with the wrong people in your life, or you drain it worried about everything or everyone else but yourself, you're probably not going to get as far as you want to be, or you know that you're capable of getting to. And so check in with yourself more. How are you doing? Truly, though, like truly, how are you doing? Again, it's only me and you right now. So you're either lying to yourself or you're lying to me. But how are you doing? And if you're not okay, if there's areas in your life, departments in your life where you're not okay, how can we make them better? One day at a time. We still got 6 months left. We still got a long life ahead of us, knock on wood, God willing. So what are we doing? What are we doing? Before I close this out, another thing, I was actually talking to a friend of mine a couple weeks ago, and I was saying about this break, and I was like, I feel like I owe an apology to the community, but at the same time, I'm like, do I, so to speak? I give so much, and sometimes I need the time off. But I landed with, I think I do owe an apology, at least just a transparent understanding of like why the break so much. This season I set out for 25 episodes, and I will do everything I can to knock that out. And I realize, however, sometimes there's many breaks that are needed, and I'm productive with them, whether it's with the show, adding new things, new elements, or getting new guests, or, being more of myself so I can give more to you. So it's definitely productive. And one of the things the reason why I took this last break was I went home to Chicago and threw my daughter her 8th grade graduation party, which is just wild that I have a high schooler now on my hands. And it was cool. It was a great time to spend time with family. We did a lot. My daughter had cheerleading camp Monday through Thursday. And by the way, if this is like the point of the show or the point of this episode where you have to like run into work or run into the gym or just get off, do your thing. This is just going to be a little bit of what's going on in my life. So not crazy important. So do your thing. Thanks for listening and watching. But yeah, I've said on the show the last couple of weeks in an episode that, my relationship with my daughter right now is concerning for me because of hormones and the teenager that she is, and going into high school, this next chapter. And it's mainly just a fear, and mainly the fear of where do I fit in to this? There's going to be some wild, uncharted territory for her coming up in the next couple of years. And, as a parent, as a father, I just want to protect her in any way that I can, and just really trying to figure out how I can do that. And we had a conversation one of the days I picked her up from cheer camp. And, I just told her, I said, one thing that I wish I had at 14, teenage years, was at least just the notion that someone really cares enough to be there for me whenever I need them, because I never really felt like I had that. And I said, so just so you know, I would like to play that role in your life, kind of that emergency hotline button or phone a friend, whatever it is. But I would just want you to know that I'm always going to show up for you. And I'm asking that you let me know how I can show up for you. If you're not new here, you've heard me say this before. If you are new here, you're welcome for this. When you ask someone, how can I show up for you? It throws them off, whether you're 34 or you're 14 in my daughter's case. And she didn't know really what I was talking about. And I said, do you need me to show up with my mind? There might be times you have issues and no solutions and confusion and no clarity. I would love to just bounce ideas off you, and we can possibly come up with both. Do you need me to show up with my ears? You just have to vent. You and your girlfriend had a crazy fallout. You can't stand this teacher. Your cheerleading coach is driving you crazy. Friends and family are driving you crazy. You just got to vent it off. Here's my ear. Or do you need me to show up with my heart and give you the passion, the compassion, the forgiveness, the grace, and the empathy that maybe you're not able to give yourself right now in this moment? Or do you need just me to love on you? Whatever you need, how can I show up for you? And it's funny because she didn't really say anything. She just kind of sat there. And I'm like, is that, and I have these moments where I'm like, I just went total dad philosopher moment, and it probably went way over her head. Like, in time she'll understand. And I said, Mama, does that kind of make sense to you? Or do I have to give another example? And she said, no, I get it. I understand. And I noticed then the next couple hours, like it totally shifted her mood. I felt she was exhausted when I picked her up. It was the third day in a row. We're there at 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., long days, and thought she was crashing on me. And it just kind of rejuvenated her. And I think it really gave her something that she didn't even know she needed or wanted to have or feel. And so it felt really good, as a parent, and someone just going through life in general. It's hard not to feel like you have control over things, or at least that you're in the right space at the right time. And in that moment, I felt like I said and did the right thing and gave her a feeling that was right on the head at that moment for her. So I'm really happy about that. Yeah, so I could just ramble on and on, which I really don't want to do. I know it's going to be a crazy week for you guys getting back into the swing of things here after the holiday. So I'm going to end this right here. But again, in recap, ask yourself how you're doing. Be honest with yourself. Be truthful with yourself. Could things be better? Yes. Okay, cool. Then how and why? And then just trying to control what's in your control, and how to move the necessary pieces to get to what you want. To get what you want and to get to where you want to be. You got your reward, celebratory list on one end, and then you have the list of why the hell am I still procrastinating about this, and what am I so afraid of? And just be honest, like, this is what is preventing me from getting over this hump, or just getting that thing. Like, if you're thinking about starting something, right, whether it's a business or a podcast or a clothing company, whatever the hell it is, like, take this as a sign. Let's go. If not now, when? Seriously though, like, if not now, when? Because you've been talking about it for a while, you've been thinking about it for a while, you've been ruminating in your head for a while. Let's go. Just throw it out there. See if it sticks. Just get it out there. See if people pick up and respond well to it. Just go. Just try. Takes one to know one. That's how this podcast all came about. Set a deadline. That also helps too. And just again, know without failure, there can't be success, and vice versa. On that note, beautiful people, I missed you guys. I'm happy to be back, and thanks for your patience. Thanks for your loyalty. And I hope this resonates. I hope you can relate to it. And again, if this is the sign or the message or the video that you needed to see, hear, and or consume, I'm glad to be a part of that. So from now until next week, have a beautiful week back. Enjoy it. And I'll see you soon.